A long time ago in an enchanted meadow filled with singing flowers and sparkling streams, there lived a small dog named Benny. Now, Benny was no ordinary dog. Oh no, you see, while all the other dogs in the neighborhood were perfectly happy chasing balls, digging holes and lazing in sunny spots, Benny dreamed of soaring through the air like a big, beautiful bird. He wanted to feel the wind beneath his paws, to run on clouds and to dance among the stars. Every day, Benny would sit for hours watching the swallows swoop and dive over the meadow, their wings catching the sunlight as they flew. And he would sigh and say to himself, "Oh, how I wish I could fly." All the other animals in the meadow thought this was very funny, and they would often laugh and tease him gently. "Benny, my dear fellow," said a wise old turtle one day, "dogs can't fly. That's just not how it's done. Dogs run, they don't soar. They bark, they don't tweet. They fetch, they don't fly a kite. You're a dog, Benny, and dogs belong on the ground." But Benny couldn't help how he felt. And deep down, he knew that he wasn't meant to be just another ordinary dog. He was meant to be something more, something special. So he decided that he was going to do whatever it took to make his dream come true. He studied the birds, watching them take off and land, trying to figure out their secret. And then he started to build. He gathered sticks and vines and leaves and anything else he could find, and he made himself a pair of wings. Of course, when it was all done, they looked more like a leafy green umbrella than a pair of wings. But Benny didn't care. He put them on and he ran and he jumped and he flapped. And sure enough, for a moment, just a moment, he felt like he might actually be able to fly. But then he fell back down to earth with a soft thud. Undeterred, Benny tried everything he could think of. He tied balloons to his tail and he jumped as high as he could, hoping to catch a ride on a passing cloud. But the balloons just popped and Benny landed right back in the middle. He built himself a sort of flying machine out of old fence planks and bed sheets, but it just ended up looking like a big white kite. And Benny was swept along the ground, tumbling and rolling until he came to a stop at the foot of a haystack. Now, none of this was easy, and Benny was tired and sore from all his jumping and building and flying. But through it all, he never lost his big smile or his wagging tail. And that's because Benny knew that no matter what happened, he had something far more important than wings or a flying machine. He had hope. As long as he had hope, he could keep trying, keep believing, and eventually he would succeed. One day, Benny was taking a break from his flying adventures, sitting by the stream and watching the fish darting around in the water. And he saw something that made him stop and stare. There, swimming in lazy circles, was a goose. And not just any goose, mind you, but a clever goose named Greta, who was known all over the meadow for her quick wit and her even quicker flippers. "Well, hello there," said Greta, noticing Benny staring at her. "What are you doing here all by yourself?" "Oh, hi, Greta," said Benny. "I was just, admiring your webbed feet. Do you think I could fly if I had webbed feet?" Greta tilted her head and looked at Benny for a long moment. "Why do you want to fly?" she asked at last. "Because I want to run on clouds," said Benny, "and dance among the stars." "Don't you want to do those things?" "Of course I do," said Greta, "and that's why I fly every day." "But flying isn't just about wings and webbed feet, Benny. It's about rising above the doubters, about showing everyone that you believe in yourself. Benny thought about this as they sat in silence for a moment. But how can I do that if I can't fly? He whispered. Because you already do fly, said Greta, swimming closer to the bank. You just don't know it yet. Flying takes courage, Benny. It takes patience and it takes believing in yourself. If you can do that, then you can fly. And just like that, Greta swam away, leaving Benny to ponder her mysterious words. All at once, it felt like a light bulb went off inside Benny's head. Of course. Why had he never thought of it that way before? Flying wasn't just about wings or webbed feet or even being a bird. Flying was about believing in yourself, about having the courage to try and the patience to keep going no matter what. So Benny took a deep breath and he looked out over the meadow. And he saw that he didn't need wings to fly. He just needed a little help from his friends. So he went to the turtles and asked them to help him make a new pair of wings, stronger and lighter than the last. He went to the rabbits and asked them to help him build a new flying machine, faster and higher than ever before. And he went to the squirrels and asked them to gather the strongest vines and the most colorful feathers he could find. And when all his friends were gathered together, Benny told them about his dream of flying and how he believed that together they could make it happen. And to his surprise, they all wanted to help. Together, they built a wonderful flying contraption powered by teamwork, hope, and a little bit of doggy determination. And then one day, when it was all finished, they all gathered around and cheered as Benny climbed aboard. Then with a big smile on his face, Benny gave the signal and they began to run. They ran as fast as they could, their combined speed building up until finally, just for a moment, they lifted off the ground and soared into the air. It was the most amazing feeling in the world. Benny felt like he could fly forever. Now, of course, they didn't stay up in the air for long. Eventually, they came back down to earth with another soft thud. And some of the animals who had been watching nearby couldn't help but giggle. But Benny didn't care. He had done it. He had flown. And that's all that mattered. From that day on, Benny wasn't just known as a dog who wanted to fly. He was known as Benny the Brave, the dog who dared to dream big and who worked hard to make his dreams come true. And all the other animals in the meadow, they weren't just his friends. They were his family, the family he had chosen because together they had proven that no dream is too silly if it comes from the heart and no goal is too big if you have the courage to try.